Hey guys, it's reynad again, and today I kind of want to show you a mid-range Paladin deck that I've been working on for the past few days. So this deck actually started off as a Divine Favor aggressive deck, basically, with like Blessing of Kings, Divine Favor. It was like a kind of like the Paladin Rush deck, except it had some more mid-game cards. And basically, a lot of the cards were inconsistent. I just eventually cut a lot of the early game stuff, the Divine Favors themselves, and just kind of up the curve to have a pretty smooth curve all the way up. You know, it plays 7 drops, 8 drops. Yeah, it's pretty much just a mid-range deck. It functions kind of like Druid or Shaman does. You try to deal with your opponent's early game stuff, you know, build up board control in the mid game, and then you have some late game finishers to close the game out. But yeah, it's been performing pretty well. I thought it was kind of a cool deck, and I wanted to show it to you guys. So let's go through the cards and kind of explain why I chose to play the stuff that I did. So I'm playing Argent Squire so that I'm not just not doing anything turn 1. It has a lot of synergy with Sword of Justice and Blood Knight, of course, as well as Equality, but it just gives you a nice early game play to kind of keep up against the aggressive decks. Equality is there for dealing with huge creatures that Hammer of Wrath, Consecration, and True Silver aren't enough to deal with on their own. It's also very good against decks like Handlock because it gives you a way of dealing with 8/8s pretty effectively without having to worry about your opponent silencing their own creature like you do with Elder Peacekeeper. Argent Protector is here so that in the mid game when you have like a Harvest Golem out or Elder Peacekeeper, just some kind of creature, it's just a really strong value card. Like for 2 mana, he basically gets you like 4 free damage onto one of their creatures with Azurdrake, but he's not really an early game card. You want him more on like turn 4 or 5. This guy I'm not 100% sure on. He's a lot less good now that I'm not playing 2 power 1 drops like Worgen Infiltrator. So I can't just go like turn 1 Worgen Infiltrator, turn 2 Bubble It, kill your guy. But most people aren't playing 2 health creatures that you can kill on turn 2, so it's not really a big deal. I still like this card. It gets good value, so I'm keeping it in for now. Bloodmage Thalnos is here because I kind of wanted another 2-drop, a Loot Hoarder type of effect, but on top of that, it's really strong with Consecration, and it's pretty good with Hammer of Wrath as well, so it's been performing well. It also scales Avenging Wrath, but that's not a big deal because there's not a huge difference between a 8 damage and a 9 damage Avenging Wrath. But he's been performing pretty well, so I like keeping him in for now. Sword of Justice I really like in this deck. I keep this card in like every matchup in my opening hand, and it's just kind of the way that you get some board control in the mid game and snowball those games into wins. But yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't play less than 2. Aldor Peacekeeper. A lot of people only play 1 of this card, but there's like in this deck it's 2. Trust me. Anyway, Eldar Peacekeeper, one of the strongest Paladin cards, just gives you another way of dealing with really big creatures, and a lot of times you can Eldar Peacekeeper their large guy before you attack it with True Silver and some of your own creatures, so that you're just taking less damage, your stuff stays alive. It's just a really strong card, so definitely recommend playing it. Blood Knight's here so that my Argent Squires aren't completely useless in the late game when I draw them, and on top of that, it's just you get a lot of free wins that way, and this isn't the only deck that plays Argent Squire. Most Shaman decks do, Zoo does, so Blood Knight generally has been performing pretty well. I also play Argent Protector, so like there's lots of ways to eat my own bubbles. No, that's another reason to play Argent Protector. Your Blood Knights are better. Harvest Golem's here because I need a consistent 3-drop that I can just put on the table. It's really hard to remove effectively, so he's been performing pretty well. It's just this deck's curve is very fluid, just a really like smooth curve all the way up from 1 mana to 8 mana. And Harvest Golem's a big part of that. He's pretty much the best 3-drop that you can play, and you do need a 3-drop, I think, in this slot. My 3/4 drops are True Silver Champion, Consecration, and Hammer of Wrath, which are 3 of the stronger Paladin cards. True Silver and Consecration are pretty much in every Paladin deck. They're just ridiculously cost-effective and good at what they do. Hammer of Wrath wasn't really played in most lists, but honestly, it's pretty strong. I've really been liking it recently because it's become a whole bunch of mid-range mirror matches, and Hammer of Wrath is great in those because it deals damage to a Yeti, helping you finish it off without having to actually commit a card to doing so, and just, I don't know, these nice little clean 2-for-1s, I really like more and more the more I play with them. That's why I like Warrior a lot, for example. I really like Slam right now. But yeah, that's why Hammer of Wrath is in there. You can also go to the face later when you're trying to burn them out with with Avenging Wrath, and it also works with Blood Mage, like I mentioned earlier. Azurdrake is here, so we have a good consistent 5-drop that we can just put on the table, keeps drawing through the deck, gets you towards Tyrion and all of that in the late game. It also scales your Hammer of Wrath, Consecration, and Avenging Wrath to a lesser extent. But yeah, it's a pretty good card. You're seeing a lot of Azurdrakes. Just again, it's basically like a 5-mana Yeti that replaces itself. So all these simple 2-for-1 cards are really good right now. I wanted a third Azure Drake, so I'm trying to play Captain Greenskin right now because I think that 3/5 drops is the right number. I do play two True Silver and two Sword of Justice, so most of the time he will get value. If he doesn't, then he's still a 5-mana 5/4, and you can just play other stuff until he gets value, but I think he's pretty strong, so I'm just giving him a try right now. I just wanted a third Azure Drake, and he seemed like the best solution. A little bit better than Stampeding Kodo. In the control deck, I would play two Stampeding Kodo, but this deck's a little bit more aggressive. I wanted something with some more power, something that could make my weapons a little bit better, so I'm going with this guy for now. Avenging Wrath is just a ridiculously powerful Paladin card. A lot of Paladin decks don't play this. I think it's a mistake. I think Avenging Wrath is so powerful that you should just build your deck in order to maximize the card's value. Like, this deck doesn't really care about doing damage to face. It really just wants board control. So a card like this is really strong on turn 6. It's going to be more effective than stuff like Argent Commander and all that. So I've been liking this so far. Karen Bloodhoof, just another 6-drop, so I can actually plop something on the table. Like, when they don't have creatures, Avenging Wrath is 8 to the face, which is really good, don't get me wrong, but like, you'd rather play a creature on turn 6, and I did want one more 6-drop, so Karen is pretty much the best one. I think it's better than Sylvanas, better against single removal, and it's been performing pretty well. You just put it on the table, it's tough for them to remove, and you just kind of snowball into a victory. Really good against decks like Druid and stuff, for example, and Warrior. Guardian of Kings is here so that we have a bit of life gain and kind of a higher curve threat. There aren't a lot of good 7-drops in Hearthstone for pretty much any class, and Guardian of Kings is one of the only ones that you can just drop on the table and just be in a... It's really swingy, actually. It just stops you from getting burned out in the late game. Eventually you will draw this. It's just really strong, has good stats too. Aside from Druid, none of the classes have good 7-drops, so it's kind of like a strength of Paladin. I personally really like this card. It doesn't get big game huntered or black knighted either, which is a very big deal. On top of that, we got Lay on Hands. I would never play more than one in a Paladin deck, but one copy is good. Drawing it means that you pretty much won't run out of cards throughout the course of a game. It also gives you just even more life gain, so you don't really have to worry about Leroy combos as much. This deck does have trouble with Rogue, and a lot of these cards don't help with that, but there's very little you can do to make that matchup good as a Paladin player, unless you're playing the Rush deck. So that's just, we accept that Rogue is not the best matchup, and Lay on Hands is really good against basically everything else. Tyrion here, just really strong 8-drop. Not too many decks are playing Silence right now. Also not at its best against Rogue because they can sap it, but ideally you try to get them to use sap ahead of time, and Tyrion's just pretty strong in my opinion. Like, obviously if they don't silence it, if they don't sap it, it gets more value than just about any other creature in the game, so that's a big part of why he's in here. It is a mid-range deck. I want cards like this and Karen Bloodhoof that just get a ton of value per card. So yeah, that's kind of the deck. Let's go ahead and play some games with it, and yeah, hopefully you guys will see why I like it so much.